From Ticker Studios, this is The Connector, presented by Harper.
Global capital is pouring into new living models, from student accommodation to build to rent and co-living across Europe and the UK. I'm Belinda Coates and The Connector starts now. To discuss what this means for Australia, I'm joined by Anouk Darling, CEO of Scape, and we'll be unpacking this new generation of living and what that means. Hi Anouk, it's great to see you in Melbourne. We've just been in London together. You've just returned from a study tour across London and Europe. What were the biggest light bulb moments for you around build to rent and student accommodation?
Well, all of it was very different and also very exciting.
How different?
Well, Europe to London's extraordinarily different, particularly, I don't know, if you just start with student accommodation. Student accommodation in London, it's seen as critical infrastructure, a little bit different to here in Australia, unfortunately, with great planning reforms and policy that's really expedited capital flows. And you can see that in their models, and we saw some incredible assets. And then if you leapfrog to Europe, we went to the Netherlands, and it's a very unique space in the Netherlands, very much underpinned by affordability and government funding. So then they build different types of models. So they build models that they have to match sort of affordability pricing, but then in the summer breaks for their yielding, a lot of them offer diverse mix in products. So if you look at the social hub, for instance, they convert to a hotel, and that allows them to have...
So they're flexible over the year?
Yeah, completely flexible, because it's that big European summer break.
Yeah, okay. Would that work in Australia? Would it work in Melbourne, for example, to allow for the tenants while the students are going home?
Yeah, potentially, absolutely. But there would also need some... probably some changes to the DA requirements and planning, and then you've got to unwind all the tax structures that are attached to PBSA and all the complications, but absolutely, to have that flexibility to be allowed to rent other cohorts would be awesome.
And just on that then, were there what sort of ancillary services were they offering that were able to be flexed in from hotel to student accom?
Well, a lot of it was shared, like the restaurant, the dining, the F&B, the grocery, and then, you know, when you think about sort of like hotel accommodation, so booking for cleaning, booking for services. But we do that. We do that here in Australia. Yeah, you can, well, in Australia, you can, in our assets anyway, you can green my room, you can have linen packs, kitchen packs, cleaning services. So all of that ancill's kind of built in. And then if I think back to the UK, and if we just leapfrog into build to rent, which is obviously a very nascent asset class here in Australia, they are light years ahead, and they really understand intergenerational living. So, for instance, you're looking at precincts that are built around mix of typology and products, so student living, co-living, build to rent, later living, and understanding that, you know, multi-generational and intergenerational living is a thing.
Yeah, so let's talk about co-living. So it hasn't really taken off in Australia, it's very new. So how would we explain the difference between student accommodation and build to rent? Where does co-living sit?
It's kind of an easy step to that middle ground. It's kind of like you've grown out of the student accommodation, which has a lot of overlay around pastoral care and, you know, getting you ready life skills. You've kind of got your own life skills now, but you're priced out of the market. And therefore, you still need to rent somewhere, but you may not be able to afford a larger scale apartment. So co-living sits between, unfortunately in Australia there's no consistency on planning reforms, and it's actually a really good solve for people who are priced out of the market. It's sort of an 18 to 24 square metre product, BTRs, you know, 30 plus. And what it allows people to do is actually transfer all the great things about community and community building, having fun, still having your private space, but kind of 3 square metres is dedicated to that amenity. So you've got communal kitchens, even though you may have your own kitchenette, events and activation, bookable dining spaces, gaming rooms, libraries. It's a great way to live.
I mean, it seems so fun, doesn't it? When we went to visit some of them in the UK, I just kept thinking when I was in my late 20s, I would have absolutely loved the social environment And from what we understand, it's been great for solving the isolation problem. So it's more about mental health for residents rather than just a living answer.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we know loneliness is a killer.
Yeah.
It's a key trend that we've seen globally. It's a theme everywhere. It's a massive theme here in Australia. In our student living, it's accommodation is something that we really focus on. So our big ambition is to be about belonging and well-being. You know, we measure what matters. We have a well-being index. We have a safety app that we underwrite. We create community events. We've actually created an experience for students. It's called the Hello Effect, and we're building IP around it. It's making sure that students feel recognised, seen, and that we're taught skills to connect with others, because these kids are coming from, well, different countries, and most of them only connect digitally, and so it's a whole new world and experience. So belonging,
the Hello Effect, and I think belonging is important through all the generations. And your company is actually providing homes for all sorts of age groups now, with Scape evolving into the new brand, the Living Co. Can you tell us a little bit about this shift in the brand and the new focus?
Yeah, of course. Well, the history is we did start in a single-minded vertical, which was purpose-built student accommodation. The acronym for that, which I think is catching on now in Australia finally, is PBSA. But we've understood that we're not about a product type, we're actually about living experiences across life stages. And that is a platform that we've built. We're now a very big scaled platform. So student living has a brand attached to it, which is Scape. But at the heart of everything, we're the living company, so that's our platform brand. And then the verticals within that are rent to live, and which is build to rent in the common vernacular, and retirement living or seniors living. And in the UK they called it later living, which I quite liked, but I can't work out if people would be offended by that or not.
Hello Living, I like that idea. Let's talk about the Timber Yards, the project in Marrickville with more than 1,000 units, set to be one of Australia's largest build-to-rent precincts. I'm super excited about it. How are you balancing its industrial heritage with modern living to create this amazing precinct?
You're excited about it. Oh my God, I am beyond excited about this. So when we think about creating places, we think about history, we think about typography, we think about geography, we think about what makes a community and why would people want to live there. Now, Marrickville Timber Yards, as you said, it will be Australia's largest build-to-rent development. It is 2.2 hectares. And from the very beginning,
How many tennis courts is that? I'll try to get that in my head. It's a lot though, it's quite big.
It's huge.
Yeah.
It's lots of tennis. I mean, we've got over 1,100 dwellings.
Wow.
So across 7 buildings. We've opened it up to the public realm. So this was sort of non-permeable space. It was a timber yard. We've kept a lot of the heritage and history of the timber yards. In fact, we're keeping the huge shed as as part of the heritage and the experience of the timber yards. But you know, we co-created and collaborated with the community from the get-go. So we work with First Nations people, we work with the local community, we work with stakeholders, the schools, we had community feedback sessions, because if people can contribute and have a voice and they have ownership, and it becomes a place they're proud of as well. And one thing as a company, we're very much about people, place and planet, and we care deeply about that impact. Now, Marrickville's got this rich history. It's neo-industrial, it's hugely creative. So we're like, how do we pull that thread through? How do we get that neo-industrial creative class celebrated within the precinct? And so we've opened up over 10,000 square metres of public realm. We've added in pocket parks. We've got, within that, we've got creator spaces, which are free. So we'll work with local artists and creators to actually have creative studios that are open to public and open to them.
So bringing the public into the precinct as well as the residents.
Yes, that's
right. I absolutely love that. So we consider Marrickville as a global example of regeneration, and that's some amazing community features.
Yeah, absolutely. And then of course on top of that, there's going to be, you know, everything from, I think we'll have our vinyl lounge and recreational spaces and rooms and, you know, rooftop areas and activation for the residents themselves. So they'll have their own, obviously their own space, but we always feel that a home should start at the curb, not just when they get to their apartment door.
Yeah, and actually what I think some of the things that we learnt from tours in the UK and Europe is the importance of building communities via precincts. So having, it's not just 7 buildings, it's all the spaces in between, isn't it?
Yeah, and how they connect and how they interact with each other. And then we know that the best activation is sort of when you've got centralisation of sort of amenity that everyone can access. And if it's spread out too thinly, then you've got little pockets and people aren't meeting and they're not feeling part of something.
Yeah.
So it comes across in all the design aspects and how we look at density and usage and how we get people together, as well as allowing them to have their own very private and separate spaces.
I can tell you get a lot of joy out of it. And another thing I know you're really passionate about is sustainability, and that's been a big focus for you, especially around circular economy initiatives. And how important is this to your brand, and where are you pushing boundaries at the moment and where to next?
Yeah. So I love this question. We have a big ambition and okay, we might not ever achieve it, but we get out of bed every day and that's, we absolutely aspire to be the Earth's best living company, and those words are very important.
The Earth's best living company. Yeah. Great mission.
So to be the best, it's about leadership, it's about innovation, and Earth is obviously about community and planet and our footprint. And so we've got a number of initiatives, and we lead right from capital, so from capital and debt. I think we were the first PBSA operator to have a sustainability linked loan, linked to actually performance metrics. One of our buildings here in Melbourne is the first ever student accommodation that's 6-star, Green Star rated. We have another building here in Melbourne that has its own commercial kitchen. It does millions of covers a year for our students, and it's fully electric. Our whole portfolio now, and we've got 20,000 beds in student, is on renewables.
Wow.
And then in terms of sort of the circular economy, which is so important, we have a number of initiatives. I mean, we've got the opportunity, you know, with these brilliant minds living with us, and a lot of them aren't aware of the importance of our impact on the planet. So we have a whole lot of initiatives around things we can do about collecting days and recycling days, etc. But what we do is mattress protector covers get mixed with recycled glass with a third party, and that actually gets turned into materials, and I know you've seen them, incredible tabletops and designs that come back into our new builds.
Absolutely amazing. We're just wrapping up now, but that is absolutely incredible what you've been able to achieve for Scape and now the Living Co. And watch this space with Marrickville. Thank you so much, Anouk.
Oh, thanks Belinda, thanks for having me.
You're watching Ticker. The Connector is presented by Harper B. For more, visit harperb.com.au.